Hello everyone and welcome to Cast 5 and 4 episode 4. My name is Lysla Pedgett, also known as Broadcast Storm, and together with me is my friend and co-host Ben Gruber, also known as Gooderus.
Hey, how are you all going?
Hey, what is going on?
I'm starting to feel like I'm alive again after going to Fanfest, and I'm sure everybody here is dying to hear what I got up to and mischief and all sorts of other wonderful things.
No, it took you like 2 days to come back, right?
It took me 2 days to get there and then 2 days to get back. And on the way there, I actually spent more of those 2 days on aircraft than waiting around.
There you go. Well, that's Australia to Iceland for you.
Yeah, that's what I get for living on the opposite side of the world.
Pretty much, yeah. So we got a bunch to talk about, so let's start talking about it. We got Dust 5 and 4 keynote. That was the first thing that we saw for Dust on Fanfest, well, on the stream at least.
Yeah.
On keynote, we had gameplay footage. Well, we have a live match with CCP Praetorian and CCP Jin.
Jian.
Jian, yeah. And they were playing pretty much. Jian was a heavy guy with Minmatar autocannon, yeah. And Praetorian was just assault guy, pretty basic. Nothing special about it. And they showed the live action Orbital Strike for the first time ever. So that was the premiere. We never seen that before ever. And it was pretty impressive. I never actually thought about that being possible to be, direct live action stuff happening in front of your eyes. So how did you react to that?
Well, I have to admit, I actually, as the press group, we may or may not have already had a chance to play the game before they rolled it out on the screen, but the orbital bombardment was something new to us, and I was very, very, very happy that they beat the 18 months that somebody said it would take them to get it ready.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 18 years was going to be.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was great to see that destruction rain from above, and of course it was nice to see it was still a little bit of an element of E with Torfi attacking Soundwave before he could try and nuke them from orbit. Although I have to say, in Torfi's instance, I'm disappointed that he didn't activate his invulnerability fields.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, that's just an Eve player thing. We're here about Dust.
Yeah, if for those people that are looking at Keynote, we're going to link you, obviously, the entire presentation. For those people that are looking at the Keynote and seeing those two screens of EVE Online players, basically what happened was that Torfi, the guy with the glasses pretty much, he tried to betray CCP Soundwave that was trying to play together with him and take the contract together and split the money. But Torfi was just too greedy and tried to kill him before he tried to basically start the orbital bombardment to take all the money for himself. So that was pretty exciting. That was basically saying how greedy EVE Online players were, and I laughed so much. So yeah, it was really, really awesome. And the orbital bombardment itself was it from Battleship, right?
It was from an Abaddon, and funnily enough, it was actually fitted with artillery.
Yeah.
Although when basically during the orbital warfare table, they basically told us at a stage where they've got the technology working, and now they're looking at the game, how they're exactly going to implement it. So things like using different types of weapons and ammunition, and exactly what it will do to the ship that's bombarding, and exactly what effects you can get in heat and dust from it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, it's really going to be dynamic. The orbital bombardment is really not a nuke from space. It's not guaranteed to kill a bunch of things, depending on the ship size and the ammunition and damage type and stuff like that.
Well, that's what they're coming up with now. Basically, it's very important to note, especially for your listeners out there, right now is the time. In fact, I'll actually see if we can link this thread in the comments. There's a thread on the EVE Online forums at the moment where CCP Nullarbor is actually asking for feedback on how we want the orbital bombardment, on things we want to see in the orbital bombardment. So for things like, for example, one thing I've seen recurring is people want to see different types of bombardments, basically different effects or different levels of bombardment for different ship sizes and different weapon types and even different ammunition types. People also want to see that ships actually have to sacrifice something to be able to do a bombardment, so they can't just shoot ships and then shoot the ground. They've actually got to be vulnerable to being basically found and ganked by ships in Eve. So that's just a couple of examples. There's heaps of different things we've got in that thread. So if you want to give your feedback, definitely go there, and it should be in general section. But like I said, we'll post a link to it. For any of you that don't play Eve, if you want to pass on your comments to me, I'll be happy to pass them onto the thread on your behalf.
Yeah. Also, you've posted like wall of text. You posted Chinese wall of text, and
what do you mean Chinese wall of text? It was 3 posts. The Chinese wall is only like 1 post high. That's a wall of text. I have 3 stacked on top of each other.
Yeah. And actually, Nullable actually told you to post it in a text editor before you actually post it in forums, because forums tend to often eat good posts. So,
they actually kind of fixed that when they gave us the draft feature, so I haven't had that problem since then. But the thing is that trying to write massive, like I needed 3 posts because it was that long, so I had to write it outside, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to write it all at once.
Yeah. Well, basically, the peak of Keynote was the actual orbital bombardment, but also we've seen the actual mode in the game that was basically attack defend style of gameplay. And the difference between attack defend was in Dust you have the MCC, obviously, which you are very, very passionate to fly in Dust later on. But the attackers have the MCC, and defenders have this outpost where the enemy MCC needs to land. So that's a little bit more, interesting in terms of gameplay itself. Can you tell us which mode did you play?
Well, for the most part, we just got to play the deathmatch mode. They use inverted commas. But that's basically the high-sec mode. The mode with the MCCs, I believe... I can't remember exactly what they were calling it. Could have been ambush, I think? They called it?
They said biomass outpost. So it's...
So it was a biomass. That was a location, but the game mode type, I think, was ambush.
Ambush? I think ambush was for Team Deathmatch, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, one was ambush and one was skirmish. I'll have to basically look that up and check from one of the guys, and we'll get back to you on which one was which. Yeah. Of course, my memory is a little fuzzy.
Yeah,
as you can imagine.
There's so much information, it's really crazy.
Oh, but you see, it's what we do after the venue closes.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Say.
Yeah, so that was... I did actually get to play both modes, though, so I quite liked it. It reminded me a lot of Titan mode in Battlefield 2 and 4, except only one side has Titans.
Yeah.
But the other side has basically got the missile launcher. It's basically it's a race to get and disarm the missile launchers that are shooting I think they called them null cannons actually for some reason, but to disarm them before they blow up your MCC, and then hack the outpost on the ground so your MCC can dock with it, and then you take it over before you run out of clones.
Yeah. Also, I think that was CCP Praetorian, Atlimar, that says that those skills that they had prior to match, those skills would take like 7 years to train for.
Yes. Yes, they said years.
So yeah, basically, with all the skills currently in the game, it would take you 7 years to train.
Although I'm not quite sure, and I'll try and follow up on this, but we don't know if it's 7 years to train just passively, or 7 years with an average amount of play time a week to train with the passive plus active skilling. And that's possibly also excluding the use of boosters, which would make it even quicker. So realistically, it might even be 5 years if you're using boosters a lot and playing a lot, and who knows what else. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see what they say.
But that was at the current stage of the game. They're obviously going to implement billions of more skills, and you are probably never going to reach that point where you have all the skills trained to 5 or whatever the maximum is.
I don't know. people who play Eve at least are kind of crazy when it comes to minimizing, maximizing things. So we could see people getting there a lot quicker than we'd expect. I mean, don't underestimate anybody.
Well,
however,
yeah,
you're going to say?
I mean, it is obvious that Dust is going to have so many expansions and so many things that are going to be completely free that people are always going to have something to train for and something to explore. So it is not like you're going to come after 5 years up to all the skills that you can get and then just stop.
Yeah, I'll be honest. With Dust, I mean, look at some other games. They say, oh, they've got hours and hours of content and to get up all these ranks and it's amazing and they've got prestige and whatnot, or elite status or whatever, veteran, where you basically do the same thing over again. But that, I mean, people finish that in like a week, if that. Or even, I mean, you look at, I'm going to use a terrible example here and you can shoot me later for even uttering it in this podcast, but World of Warcraft, to get from level 1 to level 85 basically takes no amount of time these days. It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
And that's going from minimum to maximum. And this, I mean, even taking 5 years is a real long haul. That's good. That gives you time to actually... That gives you plenty of time to keep playing at it. Now, another thing I'll just say here before we move off the topic of skill points, one thing that has come to light, but probably not a lot of people have realized this yet, is as far as skill training, in EVE, what you have to do is you have to actually set a skill and set it training, and then it will train that particular skill until it's completed, and then it will take the next skill in your queue, and you can only queue skills to start within the next 24 hours. Now, Dust is going to work differently in that. It's going to have passive skilling, but instead of actively training a skill, it will instead passively give you skill points at which you can spend at any time. This is a big difference.
Yep.
Because it means you don't have to always have a skill in training to be getting the benefit. You can go away for a month and then come back and then spend all your skill points and not have to worry that you didn't set a skill.
Precisely, and also you can get for winning and from the matches those skill points as well. So
yeah, but that we knew already. This is new.
Yeah, obviously. Well, this should be. It is very obvious. Change, at least to me, because this is more of a action game and people really want to progress constantly, basically pretty much. And in EVE, you can you really have to go a lot deeper to actually specialize your character and get all those skills. In EVE, you need to log in constantly. You need to requeue all those skills. You need to constantly move. So yeah.
Well, you don't need to constantly requeue skills. I actually haven't. The last time I changed my skill queue was several days before Fanfest, and it's still training for another 4 days before I have to do anything with my skill queue.
Yeah,
but that's because I'm training Battlecruisers 5.
Yeah,
which is a 20-day skill.
That's with those skills that takes like 15 days, 30 days, and beyond. But yeah, we're talking about FPS here, and people really want to get.
I don't know. I could still see some high level skills, like some really high tier skills with like level 5 ones taking 12 days worth of accrued skill points to actually get. I don't know. I could still see things like that. Dedicated people who really want to specialize. This is the big thing.
Yeah.
Those who really want to specialize are going to really have to push all their skill points quite deeply into particular areas if they want to get that, and it will give them that slight edge, just a slight one.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there are not going to be skills like 20 days to train. I'm saying that people in Dust should really have that benefit of being offline and not put any skills in queue and still get skill points, because it's a different game in that aspect. So people want to progress their character constantly, and maybe people forget about that, and there are casual people that don't really play the game that actively, and obviously we're not those kind of people. But yeah, you have a lot of people that are going to put a lot less time into the game and still get some progress out of it.
Yeah, so I'm happy. I'm actually quite happy to see that. There was a bit of discussion at one of the roundtables over. Now, if you were eagle-eyed and watching some of the footage, you would have seen at some points that there would have been a skill or a window on the character sheet for clones as well as for augmentations. Now, augmentations we haven't got details of. Actually, most of those windows, unfortunately, I did get to have a poke around in there, but of course, CCP being one step ahead, made all of those pages just have soon TM in large letters on them. So I wasn't able to gain that much information on those fronts. But as far as the clones go, during one of the roundtables, I asked us basically how we'd like to see basically the clones in a way work as far as skill point accrual. Now, there were a couple of options we thought they presented to us and we thought of. One was that there's a maximum level of skill points you can train with a particular clone and you can't get any more skill points over that, and there might actually have been potential for basically having to pay to get a clone at a higher grade and actually pay Aurum or buy it off the market with ISK, but somebody had to pay Aurum. Now, for the most part, everybody didn't like that idea, and I don't think the devs were very like that idea either, but it was just proposing it for the sake of argument. What we did like was basically having the clone grade reflect the number of skill points you can have pooled and ready to spend at any one time.
Yeah.
So you'd have a clone, say one clone allow you to save up 25,000 skill points. Another would allow you to save up 500,000 skill points. And one that you might have to pay for might allow you to save 1 million skill points at one time, but it wouldn't affect the total number of skill points you could have spent. So maybe we'll see on that. Of course, I'm just going to reiterate this here, and I'm probably going to say this several more times throughout this episode and future episodes. At this stage, CCP is very seriously looking for our feedback and our ideas and our contributions towards everything almost. So now is the time to get on the forums and say, in a logical, sensible, well thought out and well presented argument, I want this because of this, or possibly this is an alternative, but so now is the time to do that.
Yeah.
Now is not the time to say, rah, 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 I want this, rah, 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 because it's OP, rah, 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 don't do this because it's OP, rah, rah, rah. You get the picture.
Pretty much. The thing is, people are going to get... the developers are going to also get a lot of feedback from players when the beta starts. And... we obviously billions of people got the attendees got the beta keys for
of course we did,
and it's really just a matter of time right now when the beta starts, and it would be refreshing to see CCP actually starting in early April and not like mid and late April with the beta.
I'm hoping as well that they'll do that. However, I might just take this opportunity to add yet again. I tweeted this before for anybody who follows me on Twitter, but for anybody that doesn't, I actually managed to flee Iceland, not only with a single beta key for myself, but with an additional 3 beta keys, which I'm holding here in my left hand right now. And that I'm planning to give them away in some fashion. I haven't decided how. Actually, if you want to leave your comments with ways I might be able to give them away, and don't just say give them away to you. I'm looking for competition ideas, pretty much.
Yeah, we are going to make it difficult, really. It's not going to take you like coming to IRC or anything like that and just asking for beta keys.
Yeah,
that is not going to happen.
Yeah, this is Eve. I think Eve is difficult, so we'll stick with that.
Yep.
So post your ideas in the comments, and we'll see what we do. And hopefully, for your sake, maybe you'll be one of the lucky 3 that gets one of these. And who knows, we might even get some more if CCP is nice.
Obviously, especially to us. Now, there were 2 panels specifically for Dust 514 on Fanfest. And both of those panels you should really watch from start to finish. I cannot stress enough how much you need to look at those panels, because they're really, really informative, and there are so many things that we've never seen before.
What do you mean we're supposed to look at them for new information? I'm in one of those panels asking questions. You should watch it so that your screen breaks when you see my face.
Yeah. You are going to notice who it is pretty much.
Yeah.
The moment you see him. So.
The moment you see me and you hear me, you'll recognize me. You won't see me in the first one, which was the Battlefield roles, because they didn't actually focus the camera on the people asking the questions or even have a microphone for it at the beginning. But you'll see me in the second one, which was seeding the universe.
Yep.
Where we do indeed prove that Eve was seeded on the number 42.
Yep.
I kid you not. Just watch it and you'll see for yourself.
That was amazing. So yeah, Seeding the Universe was my favorite panel because it was the most informative and the most original panel that I've ever seen. It is talking basically about creating the universe, the planets, the systems, the constellations, and stuff like that. And also, it is talking about how the districts are being created and all that things. So, what are the general things that you learned from the panel?
Well, the main thing is that our war is not going to literally be occurring on every single inch of the planets, which is probably a good thing and a logical thing as well, because what we'll be doing instead is we'll be fighting over particular districts, which are basically key points of interest, such as this is a district that has something good because it's economically viable or it's economically valuable for whatever reason, or this has a strong manufacturing area potential, or this has lots of resources in it. Things like that. That's what the districts are going to be. And the districts are basically going to reflect the terrain that they're actually on. So it's long and complicated, and I could try to explain, but I'd honestly do a very terrible job compared to the actual panel itself. So I really do stress, go watch it, because it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty much a huge hexagon, because obviously in sci-fi universe, hexagons are the best.
Cool. Yeah, everybody loves hexagons. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to work more hexagons in the base, I think.
Yeah. Also, for that. Yeah, and also you need to take a deep look, and repeat that part of the panel specifically about Surface Command Center and the Orbital Command Center. Part where the guys are pretty much explaining how the faction warfare part of the game is going to be, and they showed one. They didn't show literal scenario of it, but it was really, really exciting to see those things, because I didn't really expect those features to be implemented straight away from the launch. So that was really refreshing. And you mentioned something that you're going to be involved into faction warfare straight away.
Yes, personally, I'm going to be with my corporation, which I know many of you have asked about joining, and I've said not yet, soon. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to basically help out the Galante militia. Cue cries of "Why Galante?" But that's for later. But we're going to do that until we basically get a chance to carve out our own piece of territory somewhere in a quiet, low-sec system. So yeah. What about you? You're going to be going for the Amar?
Yes, I'm going to be Amar, and I'm going.
So I'm going to shoot you?
Yeah, pretty much. I think.
Great.
Unless I change my mind, but yeah, it really depends on a few things that I need to still get to see from beta. I can still change my mind very fast, if I really don't like something. But I'm thinking about staying Amar as in Eve. In Eve I'm Amar, but I'm Amar in Eve that is using basically everything that is Caldari. So I really like the Caldari stuff, but I at the same time I like being Amar for the hell of it. I don't know, but yeah, we shall see how those things go, and I'm pretty sure that at some point we are going to play together, being that maybe in nullsec. So we shall see about that. So yeah, if you guys are planning to maybe join, you guys should consider being.
You mean try and join? I haven't actually said to anybody, yes, you're in yet.
Yeah, obviously. Well, there are still corporations, alliances, and stuff like that. So people don't really necessarily need to join your specific corporation, but later on, they're specifically good or stuff like that. We can very easily form alliances and go beyond. So yeah, that's for a distant future. We should really focus on beta and getting the game in the best shape as possible.
Yes.
Also, so considering that you watched Seeding the Universe panel, there is also a role on the battlefield panel that was very, very informative in terms of how do you start the game. Starting the game with the basic militia stuff, you are going to be competitive straight away with everyone. Nobody's going to have a different, overpowered or stuff like that, gear, and you're going to start from the scratch, and after that you're going to play in high sec for the NPC corporations, and later on you're going to move to low sec and all sec and that. But those things are going to be very, very slow, You should really try to learn the game in those first steps of the game, pretty much.
Well, I wouldn't say it's particularly slow. The thing is, basically, you start out with the militia gear, which is basically, you've got BPOs for it, and it costs either nothing or next to nothing to manufacture this gear. So it's basic, that's your staple at the beginning. And eventually you'll start earning enough ISK by fighting in high sec to actually start buying better gear. So militia gear, for anybody that plays EVE, is the almost equivalent of your rookie shit, except a little bit better, to the point where a team of people with prototype gear, which is the best gear you can possibly buy or acquire through any means, besides things I should not talk about, and we will not talk about, but moving on, and versus a team with just militia gear. If the team with prototype gear is terrible and the team with militia gear is really good, then the team with the militia gear will probably win. It's just going to be much harder for them, and it's going to be much harder if you're used to using prototype gear to go back to militia gear. Actually, that was funny because one of the devs complained about that during their playtests. He had to do that for a bit, and he just thought, what am I doing? Why does it feel like I have a pea shooter?
Yep. So the starting gear is, as you said, the rookie ship with civilian gear. So it's very, very basic. But yeah, they went in depth about all those things, and as mentioned, you should really go and watch that panel. It really explains a lot, and there are quite a few questions. Although, as we've seen, there was no mic at the start, so I think you suggested for them to repeat the question.
No, that was actually somebody else.
Oh, right. So yeah, they started afterwards repeating the questions, so we could actually hear stuff. But yeah, if you increase the volume enough, I think you're going to hear it. Yeah. So next one was the roundtables that you attended, and those roundtables were really, really in depth, and there was a lot of discussions about the specific aspects of the game. Because of those roundtables, you were not able to attend the
tournament. No, because some brilliant scheduling managed to do that. I don't know who was responsible for it, and I'd like to find them and say, what were you thinking? Don't worry, there won't be any physical violence involved. I might, if I find out their Eve character, go and gank them a few times, but that's the extent of it. But yeah, it was disappointing that I wasn't able to go in the tournament, but it was interesting I did actually get to watch the player versus devs match, because we did finish up a little bit early, and it was, I have to say, the developers they versed were EVE developers, but oh my goodness, they sucked. I honestly cannot believe they were that bad. It was terrible. Like, one of the groups, because what they did was they split it up into 3 groups of 8 rather than one massive group of 24 for playing, and whoever won the most out of those little matches went through to the next round or won. The group that they had in the finals, the team that won had 2 groups that did really well and 1 group that pretty much did terribly. All 3 groups pretty much whitewashed the devs. Like, the devs just, I have no idea what they're doing. They probably were all sitting at the wrong consoles for their controllers. I'm just speechless almost. How bad it was.
The thing is about the tournament was that everybody were required to use DualShock 3. So the controller was a little bit of an issue, I guess, for some devs, because at the moment we know that CCP in Shanghai are using a bunch of them are using keyboard and mouse combination. So maybe because of that, they're not used
I don't think
to
no.
the
The
controller.
thing is that these were EVE developers that were playing.
Oh, so there were no DOS developers over there.
Well, there were DOS developers, but actually, Eno, as you may Eno, he basically jumped in at the last minute to try and salvage some honor for the CCP guys.
So if EVE developers were there, yeah, I understand it pretty much. Specifically because those are PC guys, so most of them never actually took DualShock.
No, I think some of them have probably played it. I mean, we've asked. I mean, and some of the times when we've actually been able to talk to devs previously, they've said yes, we've played it a bit as part of what we did, but yeah. I can't believe how terrible it was. That was just something different altogether. Although, congratulations to the winning team. I know you're probably waiting eagerly for your PlayStation 3s and Vitas to be delivered. I actually got to talk to the guy as well who got the highest KD ratio, and the ridiculous 3D headset, which actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah. Which costs
looks like something.
It's like $900 or something like that.
Way too much.
Yep.
But it does actually look like something out of a sci-fi movie. I will give Sony that. It looks just like
amazing.
Something out of a sci-fi movie.
VR is coming. So yeah. Before PVD match, you were attending some of the fun
Roundtables, yes.
Roundtables, yeah. So which roundtables you attended?
Well, the day before I attended the Orbital Warfare, then there was a roundtable for, there was another roundtable for Seeding the Universe, one for Battlefield roles, and one that was for the basically what does Dust mean for my alliance, and then there was just an open forum as well. And to be quite honest, it actually just all devolved because we were asking so many questions and going off on so many tangents. It all basically devolved into a open forum on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So the Orbital Warfare was interesting. That one was, because, like I said earlier, CCP basically is the point where they've got the feature technically working.
Yeah.
Now they're at the point where they can decide how they want orbital bombardments to work. Do they want it to do this special effect? Do they want it to be this easy to call? And what other things have you got to do around it? Just basically the mechanical features, which for the most part are probably a lot easier to implement. It's just deciding and designing is the big question. And like I said before, and like I said I'll say again, they really badly want our feedback. They want us to not necessarily scream and shout, but put forward logically our arguments and our thoughts and our ideas. And now is the time you should be hammering on your keyboards on various forums.
Or perhaps
such as
even
our
Twitter.
own or the e-forums. Or even tweet it to the devs, although 140 characters is quite limited compared to the 6,000 you get in a forum post.
Yeah. Although some people may not have the access to the forum posts, so...
No, of course.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up another thread on dust514.org about orbital warfare.
Yeah.
And if you have something you want me to take and basically post on your behalf in the thread, post it there, and I will take it to the forums for you and say, this is from yada 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 person on the dust514.org forums, and this is what they want to say.
Yep.
And I will not post something that is just incredibly stupid. Just be warned, I'm not going to do that. So don't think I'm just going to blindly carbon copy it all.
Yep. So, were there some major things that you learned from those roundtables?
I don't think. Learned. A lot of the roundtable stuff was actually more discussion on the potential things we could do. There were probably a couple of things. I'm just trying to rack my brain for any particularly good nuggets of information that people would really want to know about as far as what they'd learned. What CCP can do with this, all these things, is very much up to how they choose to implement. Like with orbital bombardments, there's so many different things that they could do, but they don't know whether or not we wanted to. Like for instance, one thing that came up at one stage was, do we want Titans to have the ability to glass districts?
Yeah.
And I think we pretty much said unanimously yes. But the thing is, if they're going to do that, they're going to make sure that planets have the same amount of firepower going back the other way. Maybe not to instantly kill a Titan, but certainly enough to scare one off. And it's not going to just be a push button glass district. It's going to be a push button. Wait. Have somebody set up something on the ground and dust. Wait. Maybe somebody's going to set up something in Eve. Wait a bit more. Then maybe glass district.
Yeah.
Might take even longer.
So there were some things like that sound like completely overpowered, but those things are all planned for no sec and high level of play. So you're not going to see any orbital bombardment into high security space where you are pretty much earning and learning things.
You're not going to see any orbital bombardment at all, like you said.
Zero.
But just to reiterate, no orbital bombardment in high security space.
Exactly.
At all.
Because all those things are pretty much based on PvP. The direct interaction between Eve and Dust is going to come into play on with the experienced players from Dust and Eve at the same time. So also moving on to another very exciting thing that we heard from CCP Gene was on CCP Presents there was a small part for Dust that was, well, except the major trailer that was pretty much Dust trailer, Temple 1 trailer. CCP Jin told us, made 4 announcements for the hell of it. And his first announcement was that the PvE in Dust will come in 2012.
Yes. Well, not in 2012, did he? I thought he said 2013.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he said 2013.
No, it was 2012.
It was 2012.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can see just how sketchy my memory is. Well, in that case, still, it's probably not going to be until like really late into 2012. If I wouldn't be surprised to see it in 2013, even if they said that. But rogue drones killing them sounds cool.
Survival,
and some of the models look
survival
really
mode,
cool.
and horde mode.
What I really want to see though, because horde mode or survival mode or just that type of gameplay has now been almost done to death. It's almost like a standard feature in FPS games that you get on consoles, or even if you look at something like Left 4 Dead, that's been it's a staple like that. The 4-player cooperative against massive hordes. What I want to see Dust do differently in this arena is a large team survival. So I want to see at least 16 would be nice. I mean, even more is better.
Yeah.
But just having that many people against massive hordes, and I mean literal hordes that don't just keel over and die after a single bullet. That's what I really want to see them do with this. Because that way you need to bring... I mean, maybe have it that you do have like 4-player modes if it's just you and a buddy or two, and that's all you've got. But if you've got big organized corporations, like I would also see this expand, like if you take ownership of a district in low-sec, but all of a sudden a rogue drone hive starts popping up nearby and starts messing with all your infrastructure, you should actually need to have mercenaries to come clean them out of your infrastructure and then possibly even go blow up the rogue drone nest to send them away. And that type of thing. You could almost have a profession basically just being a bug killer, basically,
pretty much,
as a pest inspector and killing them off. Imagine that.
Pest control.
Yeah, your pest control, pretty much. that would be actually quite cool.
Yeah,
and it would actually taking on the rogue drone nest. That's going to be a massive fight.
Yep.
And you need that could almost be a whole team thing. Like I could easily see 24 people going in there and having a pretty tough time just taking on them. And that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Also, in that announcement, he showed a few 3D models of the upcoming drones. So they already have the idea how the drones are going to look like, and they look badass. So, yeah.
The drones are one thing. There's, actually, I probably shouldn't say anything on that either, but drones are cool, but there could be more.
Yeah.
Maybe down the line, we'll see.
Obviously, they showed things
it'd be nice to see. Yeah. Some other things other than drones we might be fighting against one day.
Yeah, but
just think about that.
Yeah, but current things that they showed really looks exciting. All those robots, things, mechs, it looks really weird because I know how drones look in Eve, and I usually try to compare them to Dust, and they really look nothing like Eve.
I disagree. They actually do kind of. I can see the rogue droneness in them with the spindly little appendages and the organic-looking bodies and things like that. I do think it actually does look very much like the drones in Eve. I have to disagree with you on that one. However, the next thing I want to see after we've got the rogue drones, continuing from what I was saying before, I want to see us versing Sancha zombies, basically.
Oh yeah,
that would be nice to actually have in systems under the effects of incursion. All of your infrastructure basically gets invaded by and overrun by Sancha zombies, and you've got to basically kick them out as part of changing the incursion influence.
For those people that don't know what incursion and Sancha actually means, incursions happen in various systems. They can be in high sec, they can be everywhere, and they're usually happening in high sec. Well, people are doing them in high sec because of these, just to be safe. And those incursions are basically dynamic events or the invasions that are happening globally, and they are pretty much overrun by Sancha, the faction in EVE Online, which hopefully we're going to see in Dust as well.
Yes. Basically, think mindless cybernetic zombies invading your base, and then you've got to kick them out. And then there's also mindless cybernetic zombies flying spaceships in space, who Eve players are also trying to kick out of space at the same time as one big collaborative effort. That would actually be kind of cool.
That would be amazing.
That would be, especially if they made it that the cybernetic zombie Sancha can actually call down orbital bombardments on you. That would be cool, and you've got to try. Oh boy, I hope the guys are listening, because we're just fountain of ideas right here.
Yeah, well, that's for CCP to find out what they want to focus on, because I'm really glad that on all those panels and announcements, it looks like CCP wants to get the gameplay and main game mechanics done right. And
yes,
afterwards,
I'll admit they really look like they're focused on getting the core gameplay, the core basically shooting you in the face type things right, before they branch off into all these mad, crazy ideas that we keep coming up with.
Yeah. Also, another thing, the second announcement on CCP Presents was that there are going to be esports aspects to the Dust 514. Meaning, they're going to implement some sort of gladiator arenas.
This is basically esports within a game. This isn't esports of a game. This is esports within a game.
Exactly. It is going to be very, very, very dynamic. It's going to, cover capture the flag, custom matches, solo deathmatch, and stuff like that.
This is a lot of Eve players are going to be happy about this, because as part of this, it's actually going to have full betting mechanics where you can actually bet on the outcome of the match. And I'm sure a lot of Dust players are going to be happy about it as well because of that, because we can also bet, and we can be the subject being betted on. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe somebody will pay you lots of ISK to throw off the match to get them lots of ISK somewhere else.
Yeah. Also, that aspect of the game is going to come in 2013. So that's a little bit more off from what you can expect, but obviously Dust is going to have all those expansions and all those features coming up patched in and completely free. So
yeah, this is what, when they were saying that this is going to be basically expanding over time, this is what they mean. They will keep adding things like this for years to come.
Yeah,
this is the beginning.
So also, you've mentioned something in the Seeding of the Universe panel. You pretty much asked them about as from now we know that in Dust we will fight on temperate planets only, and that's on launch. But afterwards, CCP is planning pretty much to introduce hostile environments, planets, stuff like that.
Yes,
where we will have lava planets, we will have gas planets, ice planets, stuff like that.
Oceanic planets with their mini submarine warfare, potentially.
Yes, that was your question.
That was my.
So we can see in the future that some planets, for example, lava planets, could occur. Some of the matches could occur, for example, only in spaceships. In
vehicles,
or in vehicles, So they could be so hostile that Marine couldn't step on the ground itself. So that would be really, really exciting.
And with these types of things, like for example, when they introduce gas planets, I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce some kind of jetpack, and I say that with inverted commas because it might not function like you might think a jetpack would, but something like that. Because if you also read the description of the facilities on a gas planet, everything is floating in the atmosphere. And so that would be cool, just jumping around. Basically, like they said as well, Cloud City. Yeah. So who wouldn't want to fight there?
Pretty much. And he took 4 screenshots of various environments where.
Yes, they had. They were pretty cool, actually.
They looked amazing. I couldn't believe that PS3 could make such amazing environment. Well, it looked like it's like I don't know. Like it's from Battlefield 3 or something like that. The graphics from PC directly to PS3 really look amazing. You should really check those out as well. Also, the fourth announcement was the question that everybody keeps asking, and for specifically people that were reading the Templar 1.
Templar 1.
In Templar 1, there were things that were mentioned, and we mentioned those as well in the previous episodes of Cast Amtex. So, Gene pretty much said yes.
They're in. Oh, I'll be honest, I actually knew they were in before they said they were in at the CCP Presents. I did actually know that, but I didn't want to spoil it for you guys.
So yeah, I've actually seen the picture.
I might just add that's actually not all there is. There might be more.
Yeah,
I can't say right now, but keep your eyes open.
So yeah,
and curious.
Also to note, hostile environments that he announced are planned for the expansion. So they're going to come with the expansion as one of the major, features of that one. But MTACs are planned for 2013. So it is not said that they're planned specifically for that expansion. So maybe they might just come before that expansion as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, especially since CCP is basically trying to move to the point where not all of the features get kept for the expansions, like in the main EVE line. So we might just see them rolled out one day without no warning, although I doubt they'll do that.
Yeah, and also that restriction for the patching the game is gone for Dust. So pretty much you can expect a game being patched every day if it needs to be. So yeah.
So yes, lots of amazing, wonderful, good stuff from FanFest, and that's not all. There's more. Wait, are you kidding me? Yes. No, I'm not kidding you. There is more. So let's see, what else did we have? We had from some of the... Well, it was actually very interesting in some of the roundtables, just going back to them. A lot of the discussion... I mean, some of the discussion centered around basically having alliances with... Because you'll be able to have Dust Mercenaries join the same alliances as EVE players. Yeah. There was a bit of discussion over Dust players actually joining the same corporations, and that seems cool. But then what happens with roles? And that was a very big talking point, actually, at one stage. Mm-hmm. And I think we got to... Actually, CCP Nullarbor came and asked the same question on IRC the other day to all of us, and we basically talked about... And I think at this stage it looks like you're going to have to be careful, because you can give all the same roles to the Dust guys as the EVE guys, is what we'd like to see. Yeah. Which means that if you fire all your EVE guys, you're not going to be able to manage your posses. Which could be very, very, very bad.
Rather bad. Well, it's really interesting to also, if you guys are willing, you can join to the RSC, and very often Nullarbor is going to be there, and
has been there.
Yeah, and there is going to be usually some discussion about some of the mechanics. So if you have any idea, it is really, really exciting to be able to seed the idea into developers' head on a live chat, and maybe he's going to think about it and propose to other developers. So yeah, really, you should keep an eye out for live chat as well. So what was your overall experience after you played Dust?
Well, a lot of people have actually described Dust as basically being the spiritual successor to Battlefield 2.42, which you may have heard me in the past say is probably one of the best FPS games I've ever played.
Yeah.
And they would be 100% correct. It feels so much like Battlefield 2.42. It's amazing. And to be quite honest, I'm not surprised. Reason being that CCP Praetorian actually worked on Battlefield 2.42.
Precisely?
Yes, he did. So it's great. Yeah. If he helps bring more of it, it would be awesome.
We've actually posted a faces behind the Dust 514, the article.
He was on that list.
And you can see Atlimar, the guy that we interviewed in the Cast 514 episode 1, and he really has a lot of experience. He knows how to make...
He is an awesome guy, by the way. I'm just saying, if you ever see him around, you have to buy him a drink.
Yep.
Tell him. He deserves it.
Pretty much. He's a rather funny guy as well. So yeah, he really likes to joke around. And for example, with Aino, that panel was just hilarious.
Yeah, Eno is awesome as well. If you see Eno as well, the mad Finnish guy he is, just buy him a drink. If you see anybody from the Dust 514 team, buy them a drink, because they all deserve it after the work they've done to get it to where it is right now, and to give us the potential to go where we're going. Now, actually, on that point, I don't know if you probably all would have heard of Crest, right? You've heard of Crest, haven't you? And you would have thought, okay, this allows us to do stuff in EVE that we could from outside of EVE. What has this got to do with Dust? This is everything to do with Dust, because they actually built the system for Dust, and at this stage, there would be some saying things. Now, if you remember during the CCP Presents, how there was that UI concept that had the little picture-in-picture of the ship they're shooting. Using Crest, one day it might be possible to have exactly the same thing if you're manning a gun shooting into orbit, and you'd actually be looking at the ship in Eve being blown up by your guns.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, shooting down, and you'd actually get to see through the view of the guy calling in the orbital bombardment just what you did.
That just blows my mind completely.
That's cool. Yeah. That's really cool. I mean, we're probably not going to get that for launch unless, of course, CCP becomes some ridiculously super wizard coding gods.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already coding gods, but not quite super wizard coding gods. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll see them pull something out of that hat, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
And
also,
it's actually...
one major thing that we forgot was that we now have... Well, it's not official name, but we know how the application for PlayStation Vita is going to be called for Dust.
Yes, play Dust 5 and 4 Neocom.
Yeah, and the application is not meant to be played on. You're not going to be able to play matches, but you're going to be able to do all the other things. So
it's basically a management tool or a communication tool. It basically allows you to manage all your stuff, keep tabs on what's happening, communicate when you're basically away. It's, for the most part, it's probably not going to be exactly like this, but for the most part you can say it's everything except actually going onto the ground and shooting people in the face. That's what it is for the most part.
And that is awesome because, for example, I'm using Aura application for EVE Online, and that application still, is not able to do millions of things yet. But with Crest and with all the other stuff that is coming up, I can see things.
Chances are with Crest you'll be able to change skills from your phone.
So it is read-write API, and that's awesome because I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what CCP's trying to do. But yes, moving on. So yes, what else have we got from Fanfest that I can tell you guys?
I've heard a comment from some press that said that Dust and EVE together may be the biggest cross-platform, cross-genre, single-shot online universe.
I think we could just shorten that to the Eden universe, which is Dust and EVE, could quite possibly be the biggest gaming universe in existence when Dust hits. And I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if that was the case.
Not at all.
Because, I mean, look at the game. It's free. And I can guarantee you a ridiculously large portion of the people that have PS3s hooked up to the PSN, and if you don't, then there's a particular Kevin Butler video I should be pointing you at, who of course is the Sony VP of everything. But if a ridiculous number of people are going to be trying out, at least at launch, and this is just a free game that they're going to try, that's going to give us a massive influx of people. And if they don't all stay, that's still going to be, I don't know how many people. I mean, I think that 10 million figure is actually realistic. There could actually be 10 million people playing Dust 514.
Yep. Also, David Reed's presentation on CCP Presents was amazing.
Yeah, I actually got to talk to the guy during the party at the top of the world. He's pretty cool. If you see him, buy him a beer. Or buy him two.
If you see anyone from
But start
CCP,
with one. Yes, they all... I don't think any of them would refuse a drink. So buy them a drink. Because they deserve it.
So yeah, did you actually went to pub crawl?
I did go on the pub crawl, yes.
With which developer?
I went to go on Team Liver Incursion Redux, which included CCP Mindstar, he basically does the hardware. He basically does the technical infrastructure stuff for Dust 514, so he's the server guy.
All right.
It's basically planning it all out. And I got to go with Eno as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't actually remember Eno's CCP name. What is it? This I don't know. I'll ask him later.
The only thing that I saw from matches and stuff like that, he was Eno, and that's about it.
Yeah, he was Eno, but he's actually got a proper... It was in the ISD. I'll look it up later. It's in the ISD summit where they basically asked... Seminar, that's all.
All right, yeah.
Yes, he was there as well, so he's one of them. I'll have to look at it later because he's got a different CCP name, but I just call him Eno because that's what I know him as. He was on it as well, and there was... I can't remember the other guy. I can't remember what his name was or what his CCP name was, but he was pretty cool. I don't think he worked on Dust though, but that was lots of fun.
Yeah,
because And of course, everybody, for some reason, decided to call me Press. I don't know, maybe it was something to do with the press pass.
Well, you were technically press, so yeah.
Yes, I was Press. That was very nice of them to actually give me a press pass, because it gave me all sorts of wonderful access to all sorts of things, and I saw things that mere mortals should not have.
Yeah.
But we shall not talk of these things.
But also, I now see the nicknames, and CCP Wolfman and CCP Nothing.
I think he may have been CCP Nothing.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah. Well,
I think he may have been.
But yeah, that is there anything else you would like to add?
I'm really trying to rack my brain here for anything particular, because a lot of the time it was just discussion on potential ways to do things during a lot of the roundtables, basically giving them ideas, more so than asking them how things work. Because I'll be quite honest, there's a lot of things that they've basically been working on the core infrastructure and the core mechanics. And then what they can do, now that they've got that all out of the way for the most part, they can easily tweak numbers and change little things to change the feel of the game. So a lot of the stuff that they're going to be doing, I am going to say it again, like I said I would, I cannot stress enough how much now is the time to go say, I would like to see this in the game, or I'd like to do this in the game, or this is how I'd like particular thing to feel. Especially, I actually told them to look out for you guys posting about how you want the PS Move to work, because I know there's several different styles, and people basically say, oh, I would like to see it this style, oh no, this style. So make sure you get that out there to them, because they're doing work on it about now, I think they said. So definitely talk to them about that.
Yeah. And a very good way to communicate as well, as you mentioned, is to go to dustfireandfolder.org/forums and just post there. Do post there, because I can tell you right now that they do read it, because one of the devs kept addressing me as Chucky. Yeah. Which,
of course, if you go to the forums there, you'll know that I actually post under the name of Chucky. So they definitely check those out.
So yeah, well, if you don't have anything more on your mind,
well, let's say I'll take this opportunity to outline some of the cool ideas I think we had, if I can remember them all. Now, from the orbital warfare one, there was a lot of talk about going back and forth between the being able to. Now, one thing that we didn't quite get to resolve what we wanted on was as far as basically bombarding down on battlefields without anybody on them, pretty much. So being able to shoot at structures, that was a bit of a go back and forth, because it shouldn't be at the point where Dust mercenaries are completely superseded by the fact that you can destroy stuff from orbit without their intervention. But it'd be nice to be able to do some damage if they haven't got any defenses there just from orbit, so you can go around and just make a mess. So I know, and personally in my case, and this is part of my massive triple wall of text on the forums, I'd like to see that you can basically put structures into reinforced and disable them, but not destroy them from orbit.
Yeah.
Now, what do you reckon? What do you want to see from that? Just shooting down at structures, not on battlefields, just at structures.
I'm not really a great fan of destroying structures personally. I'm a kind of an old school guy where structures were indestructible. So personally, I would like to see them not implement destructible things that much, but focus.
Not destructible on the battlefield. Basically, sit your ship in orbit and shoot at a structure until it's gone.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, obviously, but as I said, I really don't see that much of a need for that. At least at the moment. Maybe later on, who knows? But yeah, I would really like to see only the details in the orbital bombing itself. So EVE Online players can decide which type of all those things that they are going to have. So I would just like to see a lot more details on that aspect.
Yeah,
because it's more of a EVE Online thing than the orbital bombing itself. So yeah, but also. It is it's very difficult to also explain to those players that there are billions of versions of the orbital bombardment styles and weapons and stuff like that. Yeah,
I don't think it'll be that bad because, as we said before, you won't be able to use orbital bombardment and high sec on those planets. So but at the casual 10-minute deathmatch pick up and play, players aren't really going to be all too fussed with orbital bombardment.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the first time that any one of those players stray into low sec, either faction warfare or open or null sec or wormhole space, which they said, for anybody wondering about wormhole space, they did say it's coming. It has a twist, but they're not going to say what it is yet. But anybody that goes there and sees an orbital bombardment is pretty much going to stand in awe and say, whoa. Yeah. And I bet you they're going to go away to actually have a look at some things about it, just some basics.
Also, we've seen that orbital bombardment is not going to be able to be just thrown around on the planets. Dust mercenaries need to communicate with the online players. Yeah,
you're not going to be able to just push button blow up battlefield.
Yeah, Dust players need to give them the launch codes for that specific battleground.
I like that touch. That was good. Yeah. Having launch codes.
B00M. It's really, really cool that it requires communication between those people, because not, as said, it is not going to be a thing. Well, I'm just going to fly to this planet and just orbital bomb people that are playing right now, and I don't know those people. So yeah. Also, they mentioned that EVE Online players are going to be able to see that battle is going on those planets.
Well, they didn't say they're going to be able to see them per se, but they'll be able to see, for example, explosions in the district if there's a battle. Like, they'll see little things on the surface, like little explosions, if there's a battle going on in that district.
Which is pretty cool,
likewise, and this might blow your mind. They did say as well that the skybox in Dust Haven 4, they can actually put ships in there if they're actually there in EVE.
Yep.
Like, they can not only just put ships, they can put the right ships. And they could possibly even have explosions if there's fighting.
Yep. So
think about that for a moment.
You can imagine two battleships fighting above the planet.
Screw that. Screw two battleships. I want to see 100.
Yeah, obviously, but we're talking about from the demo aspect, from the keynote. Those people could potentially see if the map was during the night, for example. It would be amazing. And those ships fighting above them, and you see explosions and things happening above you. So, wow.
Yeah, that would be amazing, just to see all that. Just some of the things that they've talked about really do blow your mind when you think about it, because this level of interconnectivity hasn't ever been seen before. I don't think it's ever been seen before, and I've never heard about it. And if it has been done before, then it didn't really work.
Yeah.
Because obviously they should have bolted it onto something else. Yeah. Otherwise it wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
So, yeah, pretty much Fanfest showed us that Dust is going to be awesome. It really reinforced the entire idea. And also a few people from CSM also said they were not really sure how the game is going to progress and how it's going to pan out. But after, for example, Celine from CSM, he said, I was really not sure how the game is going to be. He was so skeptical, but after he played the game, he said, "I'm 70% more sure that the game is going to succeed."
Yeah, I can say that when I went in, they said CSM got to play. They were pretty damn impressed with it.
Yeah,
they were pretty damn impressed. Although I might go back a bit, just to explain for people who haven't actually got to watch it yet, and basically just give a bit of a recap on the districts. Now, we talked about districts a bit before and how they're not going to cover the entire surface, but they're going to be key areas. Now, one of the really cool things they're doing, and this actually goes back into maps, because we said earlier that they're basically going to generate maps on the fly. It's not necessarily going to be generating maps on the fly. They're going to be generating maps depending on the location. So each district basically has a number of attributes depending on where it is on the planet's surface, the type of terrain it's in, like if it's a desert or it's a jungle or plains or mountain area, and it's going to use that, plus probably a little bit of randomization, to basically generate a battlefield that fits in there, to the point where eventually it might be the case, I don't know if they'll do this at launch, but this is one of the examples they gave, the light that will be the light lighting the battlefield from a sun will actually be dependent on the sun in the system.
Yep.
Because of course there's different coloured suns in different systems. just doing things like that. I mean, there might be time of day things they hinted at and briefly touched on. I don't know how they're going to work with that. Actually, there's an interesting question that came up, because if you look at a planet now in Eve, it rotates really, really, really fast.
Yep.
So I don't know how they're going to do that, because unfortunately they can't make grids rotate with it yet due to the physics engine.
Yep.
They might just stop the planets. They might slow them down ridiculously. But it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that.
Personally, I'm really fine with the aspect of planets or of the battlefields just having day and night versions.
Yeah, well, it's not so much that the day-night versions, but just how they're going to actually handle shooting at the right spot on the planet, because you're going to actually have to, because every single district is probably going to have a warp-in point above it for you to bombard from, and you're going to have to be sitting at that warp-in point to bombard that particular district.
Yeah.
Now, if the planet below you is spinning very fast, you're not going to be able to keep up with that warp-in with that area, and it's just going to disappear and go away. So I don't know how they're going to handle that, but I mean, a lot of people would probably love to see them actually go to the point where objects actually orbit. Because right now in Eve, everything is static. Nothing actually orbits around things it's supposed to. That would be cool, but ridiculously technically difficult.
Yep.
Like,
they're very complex.
Orders of magnitude, almost. Like, I have no idea how to be, but it'd be... I think programmers would be tearing out their hair trying to get it to work.
Yep. And you being a programmer.
Yeah, I'm studying programming, but I'm nowhere near the level of these guys yet. These guys are just... I don't know how they do what they do. It's just amazing.
Yep. So yeah, it's I don't know. It brings so many questions, so many features that we would like to see, so many things that we really are excited for, and yeah, very soon we will be able to experience it from our homes.
Yeah. I have to actually remember. Did they put up the screenshots from some of their terrain generation from during? If you remember, they had a couple of screen pictures they got from the engine that they rendered of terrain
on the
using some of these different on the Seeding the Universe presentation. Did they actually put those up?
No, you can only see those on the actual presentation,
on the actual stream. I'm gonna have to ask them if I can actually get a hold of those just to put up for you guys to see, because they were pretty amazing.
They look photorealistic, I dare to say.
Yeah, so that was amazing.
So yeah, I think that this should wrap the things up. And
what do you mean wrapping things up?
Well,
we haven't even...
I don't know. We can continue talking about this for ages. But personally, I think that in detail, we should really focus on starting to post in-depth analysis and articles on DOSPyron4.org.
I don't know. I think if we really worked it, we could chew off people's ears for another couple of hours. But I guess people still want to be able to hear and not be sick of the sound of my voice.
Well,
I'm sure you're all sick of it by now.
And also, we're trying to focus on from 1 to 1.5 hour show. So yeah.
What are we at the moment, anyway?
1 hour 10 minutes.
1 hour 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we can do another 20 minutes.
Do you really want
that? I reckon. There's probably if I can keep jogging my memory, I can remember some of the really tasty stuff from the roundtables, which is a little bit fuzzy, but it was good discussion. I think I can. Oh yes. I had it for a moment and then it disappeared.
There you go.
I think we've got, actually just on a separate note, I think we're going to have to get some more CCPers in here for the next cast if we can. And get some more. I'd actually like to speak to Brandon on here because he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, you might see soon. I did an interview with him, and you might see that going up soon on Curse Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, very soon they'll be going up, and you'll be able to get. There's a couple of things I haven't actually said here that I could have that are in there, so make sure you watch that.
Yeah, we should really keep some things on the wraps still because
there are other things that I know, but I should not say because they're those type of things, and I won't say them.
Yeah. So,
I know that CCP is what I know that if there are things I know that would probably get a hit squad sent out to shoot me if I said them. Devs can say many things while they're intoxicated.
There's the NDA for you.
Well, it's not even NDA. It's just
real life NDA.
These are things that mere mortals were not supposed to know.
But you know it, so
I know it, and and you guys would be happy if you knew it as well. Let me say that there of all these things, there is not a single one of them that would make you guys upset or angry or anything like that. Every single one of them, if you knew them, you'd be happy. So be content in that knowledge.
Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed at all.
No, you're definitely not going to be disappointed.
So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and unfortunately we're going to cut it right here, and we're going to try to focus on another episode, episode 5, which we're going to focus a lot more in depth on all those aspects, and maybe try to get CCP.
Yes, hopefully I'd like to see if we can get CCP John, or possibly even CCP Nothing, or Eno, as we probably all better know him. See if we can get one of those two, or maybe even both. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. Yeah. Anyway, so it's been good talking to you guys. I'm still exhausted from Fanfest, if that gives you any indication. And it's nearly a week since it finished. Yeah. Iceland is great. You guys, I'm going to say this right now. You guys have to go next year. I don't care what you've got to do. Raise whatever hell you have to, but go to Fanfest next year, because not only is it going to be the first year after Dust is actually out, it's going to be Eve's 10th anniversary, so it's going to be ridiculously massive.
It's going to be epic. I think that Harpa is not going to be enough.
It isn't, actually. We nearly filled it. Like, there's 4 tiers, and we nearly filled the 4th tier and every tier below it. If we get a couple of extra people even, we might even actually have to look at hiring multiple venues to hold everybody. Yep. I kid you not.
And there are not going to be a couple of people playing Dust in the next year.
No. There'll be a lot of people playing Dust, and even though they might not all be completely insane and want to take the trek out to Iceland, I'm sure some of them will.
Pretty much. So yeah, thanks again for listening, guys. It was a pleasure, Chris.
Yes, it was great getting some of the stuff for the chest, and there's more. Keep an eye out, because I'll be starting to write a couple of articles, surmising some more things and putting some more things into more detail. Yeah. And I'll also make sure, if you've got questions about anything, hit me up on IRC or in game, because I'll be happy to answer them if I'm around. Yeah.
Also, big thanks to Hazar, for the guy that actually performed on Fanfest 2012.
Yes, he was pretty good.
He was awesome. And the guy that made the intro music and helped me with the video for Cast 514. So yeah, we will see you guys next time, whatever the cast is going to drop. And keep an eye out for Dustfire for the talk. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Yes, we'll see you guys next time.